Alrighty, how is everybody doing today? And welcome to the first installment of the Malik Robinson Show slash podcast, whatever you want to call it. But I will be calling it the Malik Robinson Show. And today, we have a lot to get into in the sports world. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Malik Robinson. I am currently a college sophomore enrolled at the University of Memphis. I am a journalism major working on getting my bachelor's degree. So that's just some quick information about me for those who don't know about me and are hearing about me for the first time. I have big plans for this podcast. I have invested a lot into it, so trust and believe that I will be trying my truly best to make sure that this podcast eventually does get out there to the people. So today we're going to get into the news on a lot of things covered on September 2nd, 2021, as today is Friday, September 3rd, 2021. Yesterday we had the first true installment of NCAA football games. Obviously big games such as Ohio State versus Minnesota. We get to see the debut of CJ Stroud in an Ohio State uniform. Big expectations for him. You had other games such as Boise State versus UCF, Gus Malzahn's debut in the program. You had a lot of things going into yesterday that were very interesting to watch. Oh, how could I forget? You had Joe Milton's debut for Tennessee against Bowling Green. Now, to get into the scores of all that happened yesterday, let's see. Ohio State ended up defeating Minnesota 45-31 in a very close game, actually, that Ohio State kind of broke away in the fourth quarter. Number 22 Coastal Carolina defeated the Citadel 52-14. 24 ranked Utah went to Utah and defeated Weber State 40-17. Number 25 Arizona State defeated Southern Utah 41-14. UCF defeated Boise State in a tight battle towards the fourth quarter, 36-31. That was a very interesting game. Ball State defeated Western Illinois 31-21. Buffalo defeated Wagner 69-7. NC State defeated South Florida 45-0. Appalachian State defeated East Carolina 33-19. UC Davis defeated Tulsa 19-17. Tennessee defeated Bowling Green 38-6. Western Kentucky defeated UT Martin 59-21. New Mexico defeated Houston Baptist 27-17. Florida FIU defeated Long Island University 48-10. And Eastern Washington defeated UNLV 35-33. So that is to recap all the scores that happened on Thursday, September 2nd. Now to get into the major games that happened, the most interesting games from yesterday. Obviously, number 4 Ohio State versus Minnesota, going into Minnesota. Everyone knew in this game that it was going to be somewhat of a tough test opening the season for Ohio State, considering that Minnesota and PJ Fleck are one of those teams that are heavily slept on in the Big Ten, and we saw that last season. We saw a true test of that last season. But Minnesota, they had high hopes. They have high hopes going into this. They were still the underdog, but they were the team that if Ohio State was to lose to, that would be the team right there. That would be the team that could pull off the upset. And honestly, I'll admit, in the first 10 minutes of the game, it looked like that for sure. But in the first half, you had a moment where Ohio State's. It was the second quarter. Ohio State is in the red zone. Ohio State is in the red zone. Big third down. Everyone knows if Minnesota gets this stop, then the momentum kind of goes in their favor. They get the stop. Ohio State takes 3. They come downfield, and I believe I believe it was a play in the drive for Minnesota. Mohammed Ibrahim, Mohammed Ibrahim, he had a big 50-yard run on a 4th and 1. Very gutsy call by PJ Fleck in that moment, considering it was very early in that game. And considering that was the case, everyone kind of figured that this is make it or break it. You're facing a number 4 ranked team. You got to go for it. If you don't go for it, you kind of lose that momentum from stopping them that your defense has created. But if you do go for it, you're taking a big risk. Taking a big risk right there. But luckily, Mohammed Ibrahim, 50-yard run, gets them downfield. They ended up scoring a touchdown. Tanner Morgan to Dylan Wright. Pretty back shoulder throw over the corner. And from there, then we start to see the struggles of C.J. Stroud. Now, I'm not going to say that he was, before that he was absolutely, gunning throws, but, he was kind of trying to, break his way into the game. He was trying to break his way into the game, and it was very evident of that. You can definitely see the freshman nerves kind of on him as, in the drive after Minnesota scores, he proceeds to throw an interception, a very, very costly interception to Terrell Smith. He threw the ball behind Chris Olave and ended up being deflected and picked off. So at that point, Minnesota gets the ball and they score again. And then from there, they go into the half up 14-10. Now at this point, I will admit, I went on social media just to see, how the reactions were, how the reactions would be. And I mean, I'll say this about certain Ohio State fans because I am an Ohio State fan myself. The amount of doubt on C.J. Stroud has me worried because I feel that people gave him pretty high expectations already. He's a freshman quarterback, first freshman game against a tough team like Minnesota. Just because they're not ranked does not mean they aren't a tough test. And keep in mind, this is a home game for Minnesota. First time back with fans. They're going to that game with high energy, looking for the upset. So I felt that people were, on C.J. Stroud a little too harsh. I mean, the guy, yes, he had one pick, one touchdown in the first half. Cut him some. Oh, my fault. He didn't have a touchdown, but he threw an interception. I believe he only had 58 passing yards, but that's just how Ryan Day is. He tries to break in the quarterback, but he doesn't. He gets the running game going, and then he wants to try to shy away from the running game and get the passing game going. So, I mean, I just feel like C.J. Stroud did not deserve for, certain Ohio State fans and doubters to be criticized like that, considering it's his first game, against a tough team. So, as the second half goes underway, Ohio State has the ball, and at that point, they're looking to click on all cylinders. C.J. Stroud throws a beautiful pass to Chris Olave for a touchdown. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but he threw a beautiful touchdown to Chris Olave, and at that point, that's when that's when everyone sees C.J. Stroud. He's feeling it. He's feeling it at that point. He's absolutely feeling it at that point. So that's the first touchdown, and then Minnesota, they come back down. They end up scoring the touchdown themselves. I believe Mohammed Ibrahim, I believe, scored once again. And yes, so at that point, Minnesota is up, I believe, 21-17, I believe. I'm not exactly sure because I think at this point, I'm not going to lie, I think at this point I was eating dinner. I was making dinner. And at that point, I was not watching the game. I tried to catch a little bit of the highlights. But, I'm trying to go to best off my memory that I can. C.J. Stroud, let's see. After that, he threw a pass to Garrett Wilson. And then at that point, they're back up again. And then Bryce Williams scores for Minnesota. Now, you may be wondering, Well, no. I have that all wrong. Bryce Williams did not score. At that point, Ohio State is up. They're up by a lot. Well, not a lot, but after the touchdown to Garrett Wilson, they're up by, let's see, they're up 24-21, I believe. Yeah, 24-21, I believe. Yeah, they're up 24-21, and a fumble recovery happens. And yeah, it's a big boy touchdown by Haskell Garrett. Haskell Garrett gets fumble recovery touchdown. At that point, it's 31-21. People are starting to see, okay, Ohio State kind of has all the momentum at this point. It's 31-21. Like I said, I'm trying to remember it the best I can, but I'm not exactly sure. So Ohio State, that third quarter, they scored 21 points. Big third quarter for the Buckeyes. I'm not going to lie, that was very huge for them. And I believe in that third quarter, I'm not exactly sure when it happened. Like I said, at a certain point, I stopped. I took a break from watching the game. I did know that Muhammad Ibrahim suffered a leg injury, and I watched it as well. It looked like a simple hyperextension, but they did keep him out of the game, which is very unfortunate because Muhammad Ibrahim, as frustrating as it was to watch the Buckeyes kind of struggle to stop the run like that, it was still entertaining to watch him. Watch him kind of do his thing. He finished the day with 30 carries, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Great day for Muhammad Ibrahim. I'm not gonna lie, he played well. He played phenomenal, and it's a shame that injuries kept him out. And at that point, Minnesota kicks a field goal, and then Tanner Morgan throws a touchdown. Tanner Morgan throws one more touchdown. They're trying to get back into it, but then C.J. Stroud just he's feeling it at that point. C.J. Stroud starts feeling it at that point. Trevion Henderson, a freshman running back, I believe, number 1 ranked running back. Actually, I completely forgot that the Buckeyes had him. Simple screen play, catches the ball, runs for 70 yards for a big touchdown. Big touchdown. Looked like, at that point, Minnesota's kind of out of it. And then Tanner Morgan comes back down, scores a touchdown, very quick touchdown. Well, not Tanner Morgan scores a touchdown, but he drives down the field very quickly, and then Bryce Williams ends up running it in. And, at this point, people are thinking, maybe it's not over. It's still a lot of time left in this game. But then C.J. Stroud throws a very quick pass over the middle to Chris Olave, and at this point, Chris Olave just goes from there, dodges defenders, gets through the blocks, runs it in for a touchdown, and at that point, the game is completely done. Everyone knows it's over, and to seal it off, Minnesota's last drive, catch over the middle. I can't remember exactly who caught it, but he caught it, ended up fumbling and recovered. Ended up being recovered by, Lathan Ransom. Lathan Ransom forces a fumble, I believe, and I think he recovered it as well. But Lathan Ransom ends up causing a fumble. It was a big conversation actually about that, wondering whether or not that was targeting. And from my angle, from the way that the receiver folded, it did look like targeting. But in the review, it was just a clean hit with the shoulder, nothing above the neck area, and yeah, it's just a fumble. And at that point, the game is over, and Ohio State walks away with a win, a tough win, 45-31. So my quick takeaways from this game: C.J. Stroud, you have to give him some time to develop. He has the potential to actually be a great quarterback. I feel like he can truly fill the shoes of Justin Fields. Now, I know this is the first week, but you do have to give it time. This is a freshman quarterback we're talking about. It has been a minute since Ohio State has started a freshman quarterback. So, like I said, you have to give it some time. Like I feel like that CJ Stroud will truly break into the offensive system and it'll work. Running game is excellent. I love Mayan Williams, and I love Mayan Williams. Mayan Williams is going to be very, very good for the Buckeyes. And the great thing about the Buckeyes rushing core, if Mayan Williams isn't going, then you have guys like Master T, Trevion Henderson, and Marcus Crowley that will absolutely get going for you. But today, Mayan Williams did the job. Chris Olave, by the way, my fault. Mayan Williams, he had 9 carries, 125 yards, and a TD, including a long 70-yard run for a touchdown. Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson kind of held it down on the receiving end. Chris Olave, 4 receptions, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. And also Trevion Henderson, the screen played, 1 reception, 70 yards, and a touchdown. That was it on the receiving end. On defense, kind of the guys that I noticed, like I said, Haskell Garrett recovered the fumble for a touchdown. You had guys like Josh Proctor. He could have had an interception, but they ended up calling roughing the passer, ended up calling it back. You had guys like, I believe, Lathan Ransom forcing the fumble. Just guys like that. And then on Minnesota's end, let's see, Tanner Morgan, 14 to 25, 205 yards and a touchdown. Muhammad Ibrahim, like I said, 30 carries, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Terrell Smith got the interception for them. And that was about it for them. Takeaways from this game as an Ohio State fan. The run game something needs to be done with the run game. Because if you had told me going into this game that Ohio State would allow 203 yards to Minnesota in rushing, I would be worried. So that needs to be something that's talked about. That needs to be talked about. I need to work on that because that is not good at all. That is not good. That's not good whatsoever. And as far as third downs, we need to do something about our third down defense. Minnesota was 8 for 14 on third downs and then had a 4th down conversion. Definitely need to do something about that. Need to stop allowing long runs. Need to stop allowing the run game to establish for certain teams. I feel like that's just something that they truly have to work on. And if they don't, I don't see Ohio State being a number 4 ranked team anytime soon if that is the case. Because the run game absolutely has to be it. Now, like I said, this is the first game of the season, so it's not, everybody has to break in. You definitely said everyone was rusty, but you just got to give it time. So that's my take on that game. Now to the other somewhat interesting game. You had Boise State going into UCF. Like I said, Gus Malzahn's coaching debut for the UCF Knights. It was a very interesting game. It started off very bad for UCF. I'm not gonna lie. Started off very bad for UCF. Literally at the goal line, they throw a 100-yard pick six. It was a very bad throw, and it was returned back by, I believe, Tyreek LeBeau. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he had actually 2 interceptions. But the one obviously being the very big 100-yard return for a touchdown. So UCF started out to a big start, and then towards the end of the half, they really got back into it by scoring 14 in the second quarter, brought the lead to 24-14, and then at that point, that last touchdown before the half really gave them momentum as they went into the third quarter. Scored 14 out of 1 in 28-24. Boise State scores in the fourth quarter. Now it's 31-30. Now it's 31-28. And I'm not exactly sure because I don't think I watched this game like that. I kind of just watched a recap of it. But pretty much Boise State scores 8. They score a touchdown. And it's 36-31 at this point. Now, this is the part that I did catch. 2 minutes left. Actually, I have the exact time pulled up. It was about 2:12 left in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 4. Boise State is at the UCF 35-yard line. They are at the UCF 35-yard line. Let's see. Hank Backmeyer. Not sure if I'm announcing that right. Hank Backmeyer rolls out to the right, and in the moment, everyone's thinking he's going to scramble for a first down. He had open field. I mean, it was a linebacker chasing him, I believe. Yeah, it was a linebacker chasing him. He had open field to get that first down. And if he doesn't get it, he gets a couple of yards close to maybe a 4th-and-1. Everyone thinks that's going to happen. He crosses the line of scrimmage. I'm surprised he didn't call it. But he crosses the line of scrimmage, throws a terrible throw into double coverage, and it gets intercepted. It gets intercepted by Dylan Lester. Absolutely terrible throw. It absolutely took away all momentum that Boise State had. It was a very good drive as well, to get back into the game. But if you're Backmeyer, you have to run that ball. You have to run that ball in there. There is no way that you throw that and you think that's a good throw. That was not the best decision. You have to run that ball, get the yards, and if you get a 4th down, you're working with a short down situation. You can run it. You can actually hand it off if you want to. You can throw a quick slant if you want to. There's so many things you can do if you just run that ball, because no one's in front of you. Everyone that's in front of you is in coverage. You have to run that ball. So I feel like that's what really threw the game away for Boise State. If he runs that ball, we're looking at the score differently. Possibly Boise State is winning the game. We're not exactly sure, but on other things, Gus Malzahn does get his first win as the UCF coach. UCF obviously looking to bounce back this year and win the conference, kind of take the title away from the University of Memphis. So yeah, it'll be an interesting year to see how UCF handles things. But just to recap things from that game, just recap the stats. Hank Backmeyer, 25-39, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Very costly interception. Rushing, Andrew Van Buren, only 10 carries, only 26 yards, but he did score a touchdown. And for receiving, Khalil Shakir, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that's about it for them. That's about it for them on offense and on defense. Like I said, Tyreek LeBeau. I'm not sure if I'm absolutely not sure if I'm not pronouncing that right, but he had two interceptions that game. Very good game for him. And for UCF, Dylan Gabriel, 25-37, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Isaiah Bowser rushed it 33 times for 172 yards and 1 touchdown. And Jalen Robinson, 6 receptions, 140 yards, and 1 touchdown. Also on the receiving end as well, Brandon Johnson had a touchdown. Alec Haller, 1 touchdown. Titus Mikael Atimala, I do not know how to pronounce his name, but he had a touchdown as well. And on the defensive end, Dylan Lester with the game-saving interception. And that's pretty much it from that game. Like I said, very, very entertaining game, but very interesting towards the end. Definitely was a winnable game for Boise State. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. That was a very winnable game for them. But it's just, bad decisions down the end kind of ruined it for them. And, yeah, that's about it. Now, on to games this Saturday, as it is no games today, Friday. Saturday, we have Oklahoma versus Tulane. Not going to be that interesting game. I expect Oklahoma to walk out with that one. It will be shown on ABC, which is interesting, but it doesn't look like. I don't think this is a game that should be necessarily nationally televised. I don't think so. But on to better games, We have number 19 ranked Penn State versus number 12 ranked Wisconsin. That's going to be a very interesting game. I'm interested in watching it. You have UL Monroe versus Kentucky, Boston College versus Colgate, Michigan versus Western Michigan, Rutgers versus Temple, UConn versus Holy Cross, Stanford versus Kansas State, Army versus Georgia State, Fordham versus Nebraska, Fresno State versus number 11 ranked Oregon, Rice versus Arkansas, Lafayette versus Air Force, and a major game right here around 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC. It's the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. You have number 1 ranked Alabama versus number 14 Miami. I do expect Alabama to run off with the win, but it will be very interesting because Miami kind of, I don't know, but Miami is always one of those teams that, just plays very good on opening weekend. So that'll be a very interesting game to see, but I do expect Alabama to walk out with the W, if by around 20 points, I'm going to be honest. Onto the next games, you have Miami, Ohio versus number 8 ranked Cincinnati. That's going to be very interesting to see how the Cincinnati team is. You have number 17 ranked Indiana versus number 18 Iowa. You have Marshall versus Navy, West Virginia versus Maryland, Louisiana State versus Mississippi State, Central Michigan versus Missouri, UMass versus Pittsburgh, Montana State versus Wyoming, Northern Iowa versus number 7 ranked Iowa State. You have number 23 ranked Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns versus the number 21 ranked Texas Longhorns. You have San Jose State versus number 15 USC, Campbell versus Liberty, Gardner-Webb versus Georgia Southern, Akron versus Auburn, East Illinois versus South Carolina, Monmouth versus Middle Tennessee, Syracuse versus Ohio, Oregon State versus Purdue, Texas Tech versus Houston, Missouri State versus Oklahoma State, Baylor versus Texas State, Nichols versus Memphis. That's going to be a very interesting game to watch, as Memphis is trying to reclaim that title of the American Athletic Conference champions from last year. Definitely going to see how Ryan Silverfield coaches. I believe that Memphis has not announced who their quarterback is. I don't think they have said who's going to be starting. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ryan Silverfield, who he has starting for that day. Probably going to try a 2-quarterback rotation, because it looks like it's going to be one of those games where Memphis just kind of steamrolls, and then at that point he's going to just test quarterbacks. But yeah, that game is going to be at the Liberty Bowl at 6 p.m. Central Time. I definitely recommend going to it if you've never been to a Memphis game, just to see the atmosphere, because the atmosphere is going to be crazy. All the students are going to be back at games. Everyone's going to be back at games. So I definitely would attend that if you want to. Personally, I'm not going to be able to attend that game, but I do plan on attending a Memphis game eventually this year. You have Abilene Christian versus SMU, Norfolk State versus Toledo, Central Arkansas versus Arkansas State, Southern versus Troy, and at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC, you have number 5 Georgia versus number 3 Clemson. That is going to be a game that I have my eyes on 100%, because it is going to be very interesting to see how number 3 Clemson is without Trevor Lawrence. I do understand they have a backup quarterback that did play somewhat last year due to Trevor Lawrence being injured at one point. And Georgia, I'm not exactly sure on Georgia, but they're number 5 ranked, so I'm going to be interested to see how that is. Next games you have are Florida Atlantic versus number 13 Florida, Northwestern State versus North Texas, UTSA versus Illinois, Northern Illinois versus Georgia, William & Mary versus Virginia, Kent State versus number 6 ranked Texas A&M, Montana versus number 20 Washington, East Tennessee State versus Vanderbilt, Southern Miss versus South Alabama, Duke, I can't pronounce that, but TCU has a game as well. Number 16 ranked LSU plays UCLA. That'll actually be an interesting game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Zach Charbonnet, they played very well last week. So I'm interested to see how they play against Coach O and the LSU team, ranked number 16. Bethune-Cookman versus UTEP, Nevada versus California, BYU versus Arizona, New Mexico State versus San Diego State, and for the late night Pac-12 game, it's not necessarily Pac-12, I believe, but you have Utah State versus Washington State. Actually, no, it is Pac-12, but it's on the Pac-12 network, so not really. And lastly, you have Portland State versus Hawaii starting very later around 11 o'clock Central Time. And that is not it as well. Sunday, you have number 9 ranked Notre Dame versus Florida State. That'll be 6 on 6. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC. That is Sunday. And then Monday, you have Louisville versus Ole Miss at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that is it for NCAA. Now on to other things. NFL season. We haven't really heard any big news from NFL, but the season does start, I believe. The season starts this week, I think, right? Yeah, the season starts, Thursday, September 9th, you have the Cowboys versus the Buccaneers. Going to be the first game of the season. Obviously going to be the ring Super Bowl ceremony for the Buccaneers. Definitely interested to see how that's going to be. But yeah, we have NFL football next week. That's going to be very good. Less than 6 days. So it's a lot to be happy about that. On to something else that's interesting. You have MLB, Major League Baseball. Let's recap the scores from that. You have the Phillies versus the Nationals. Phillies win 7-6. They ended up sweeping the series, I believe. Yeah, they ended up sweeping the series versus the Nationals. You have the Athletics versus the Athletics winning over the Tigers 8-6. Giants versus Brewers. You have the Giants winning 5-1, which puts them in a first place tie in the NL West with the Dodgers, who currently still have the first place lead technically, but they are tied with the same record with the Giants. So also you have the Red Sox defeating the Rays 4-0, the Mets defeating the Marlins 4-3, and you have the Cubs beating the Pirates in extra innings 6-5, and that game was very, very interesting as it wasn't really supposed to be a walk-off situation for them. The infielder had a simple pop-up. It looked like a simple pop-up, but he lost the ball, I'm going to assume, in the lights, and ended up falling behind him. Cubs ended up scoring a run, ended up walking it off. You have the Indians defeating the Royals 4-2, and then you have the Braves defeating the Rockies 6-5. Now, interesting thing about this game. In the 5th inning, Adam Duvall hits a 2-run homer to get in the lead 6-5. That ended up winning in the game. That run was 477 feet. Very, very hard hit ball. Can't remember exactly what the exit velocity was, but it was a very hard hit ball. 477 feet. Definitely tell that the elevation kind of helped out a bit since it's Colorado. But that's kind of just a recap of the scores from September 2nd, 2021. Now, on to sort of talking about the standings. I have not watched a whole lot of baseball, but I can definitely tell you I have caught up with it somewhat. The Braves have been struggling. And at a time like this, you do not need to struggle with only, I believe, not many games left. It's not many games left. October is just around the corner. You have the lead by 2 games above the Phillies. You need to close it out. I understand you have some injuries. You don't have Ronald Acuna, but the Braves are playing at an excellent level. So if they want to win the NL East, they need to find it within themselves to start playing good again. They need to start finding within themselves to find what they found at one point to where everyone thought, the season was over for them, and then they bounced back. showing other than that they are one of the best teams in the league. But like I said, they only have a 2-game lead right now. The Phillies are right behind them, and then you have the Mets who are behind 5 games. So you have 3 teams in the NL East fighting for that number 1 spot. Very interesting to see who's gonna walk out with it. Personally, if I had to decide, I think the Phillies are gonna walk away with the division. That's just my personal opinion. That's how it's currently looking right now. In the NL Central, pretty simple. The Brewers are leading the division. They're about 10 games over the Reds. The Cardinals are 12 and a half games back of number 1, but by the looks of it, Milwaukee's gonna win the NL Central. So yeah, it's looking pretty clear cut for them. And like I said, the NL West, very interesting. Dodgers versus Giants. That's gonna be I'll be honest. This is really what everyone's gonna be looking at. If you're just getting into baseball, Dodgers versus Giants. That series right there. That is going to be the most important series of the year, because whoever wins that series is almost kind of going to have them almost guaranteed the momentum to win the division. And I'll be honest, if I had to choose from it, I think by the end of the year, the Giants will have the division won. I believe that the Giants will have the division won. And also, a quick hot take, even though it's kind of well known between everybody as a baseball fan that whoever wins the NL West is they're heavy favorites to make the World Series. There's no doubt about that. So I personally think this year the Giants, if they win the division, which is my pick, they'll make it to the World Series. Now onto the American League, the AL East. The Tampa Bay Rays are currently leading the division. The Yankees are back 6.5 games, and the Red Sox are back 8 games. I'll be honest, I feel like the Yankees can make a surge to kind of give the Rays a fight. Personally, I feel like unless the Rays, slow down and go on a little bit of a struggling streak, I think the Yankees don't really have a chance of winning the division. If anything, I think they need to focus on kind of holding that number 2 spot above the Red Sox. That's how it's currently looking for them. But yeah, it looks like I think the Rays are going to walk out with the division. AL Central, White Sox are currently on top. Indians are back 9.5 games. And it's pretty much between those two in the AL Central. The Tigers are a little out of the race at this point. I'll be honest. I think the White Sox are gonna take the division. I think it's pretty simple. They're gonna walk away with the division. That's how it looks for me. Now onto the AL West. Now I know I mentioned the NL West as a division that people are gonna watch. I stand by that 100%. People will be watching the NL West for sure. The AL West, the Astros are currently leading the division, but you have the Athletics, who are right below them, back 4.5 games. Then you have the Mariners, who are back 6.5 games. And then you have the Angels, who are back 12.5 games. Now, I mention the Angels because they're technically not out of it, but it's not necessarily looking good for them right now. But anything can happen towards October. We've seen crazier things. So the Angels are still in that race to possibly get higher in the division. But my personal pick for who's going to win the division at this point, I think that the Astros might actually walk away with the division. But the Athletics will make a run for it for sure. The Athletics are going to have a run for it for sure. They have guys like Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, guys that can really hit the long ball real well. So they're definitely going to make a run for it for sure. No doubt about it. But that's all I have as far as baseball. On to other things. Um, the NBA has announced a. They have announced a thing. I believe I can't remember exactly what teams it were. I can't remember exactly teams what it was, but um, I believe one of them was the Nets, Warriors, Knicks, and I think two other teams. They pretty much said unvaccinated players cannot play. They cannot play home games because of the rules that New York and San Francisco have set for vaccination. So that's going to be interesting to see how that happens. The NBA is going to be having strict rules for unvaccinated players. It's going to be interesting to see how that is, even though we kind of have a good idea of what it's going to be. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it is, but at the same time, not really. Also in the news, Bryson Warren, 5-star recruit in the class of 2023. He was ranked number 14 in ESPN's class of 2023. He had a lot of offers. He had offers from Arkansas, Tennessee, Kansas, Memphis, Oklahoma State, Missouri, and Auburn and others. He ended up signing with Overtime Elite. So it's definitely interesting to see how he's gonna do with that. Personally, I feel like that's a good decision for him. Overtime Elite is signing a lot of people, a lot of 5-star recruits. Everybody's kind of looking to the G League and then other things like that, kind of things where they can make money off of. Even though you can't make money as a college athlete now, but it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how this pans out, because it's definitely looking like that's the route for some people. So yeah, and also a couple days ago, the Atlanta Hawks and Clint Capella reached a $46 million extension. It's about 2 years. Not gonna be interesting to see how that lasts. Also, Paul Millsap is looking like he is going to agree to terms to sign with the Brooklyn Nets. Paul Millsap probably going to come off the bench, but pretty solid pickup. Averaged about 9 points last year for the Nuggets. Definitely going to be good for off the bench, just like a quick bucket, kind of, just put some points on the board while the starters are resting. And also, you have Rajon Rondo returning back to he returns back to LA, the Lakers, of course. Definitely got to see how that looks. I feel like that's a very solid pickup for them, because we see how Rondo plays with LeBron and AD. He's definitely going to provide that. He's definitely going to provide the energy that Dennis Schroeder was not able to provide, because reportedly Anthony Davis was very frustrated with how Dennis Schroeder was running the offense, not really giving Anthony Davis a lot of post looks and things. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that is. And I feel like Rondo's going to be a good pickup, because say if that's the case with Russell Westbrook, Rondo can help him understand the offense a lot better. So that's definitely a good pickup for Rondo. We see how Rondo is towards the playoffs, how he can lead young guys on the team, like Taylor Horton-Tucker and guys like that. So even though the Lakers kind of lost some key pieces, they've gained a lot of key pieces. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the team is. Now, personally, people can keep the narrative that, oh, they're an old team, oh, they're a super team. Personally, I feel like stick with the narrative and see how it turns out, because there's still a lot of basketball to be played, and there's a lot of teams that actually have a good chance at contending this year. We have no update on Ben Simmons as of the moment. Although he did say he wanted to play for a team in California, I believe. So that's going to be interesting to see. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to turn out. Unless someone does a crazy trade for Ben Simmons, because honestly, the Sixers are asking a lot for a guy like Ben Simmons, and you would think, okay, Ben Simmons, he does offer a lot. He genuinely does, but after that playoff performance, it's hard to believe that, especially in the moment where close moment in the game, 2 minutes left, you have a wide open dunk, you pass it. You pass it to Matisse Thybulle in the paint when you have a wide open dunk, and only person in front of him was Trae Young. Everyone's thinking you're gonna dunk that ball, but that right there kind of that play alone decreased his value, and then the fact that he's really not able to be in with the last 2 minutes of the game because he can't shoot free throws. It's just a lot with Ben Simmons, and I feel like if he truly does not work on it, it is not going to be good for him whatsoever. So that's something he needs to work on for sure. If he doesn't work on it, it's going to be looking real rough for him. Right now, it's looking like Ben Simmons is currently going to stay with the Sixers. That's what Joel Embiid is trying to get him to do. But it's like I said, it's going to look very interesting. It's genuinely going to look very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out for him. But yeah, that's how it's looking right now. On to other things in the sports world. Cristiano Ronaldo. He's back. He's back at Manchester United. It's going to be very interesting to see how it is. I'm almost sure it's not going to be as great as the first time he was there, me growing up and seeing, his highlights and stuff like that. But anytime you hear Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United, you almost promise great things. I mean, anytime you hear Ronaldo, you're going to hear great things. You have the World Cup qualifiers for, Gold Cup winners and people in teams of the Gold Cup like the United States and Mexico. Mexico faced Jamaica. Mexico ended up winning 2-1 against Jamaica. And sadly, yet not surprising and surprising, the U.S. men's national team ends up drawing with El Salvador. From what I heard, it was a very, very, very hard game to watch. It just was a very hard game to watch for people. I can only imagine how it was because I know how frustrating it is. It can be to watch it can be very frustrating to watch the men's national team struggle like that, especially against a team where you think they would just, walk out with the win, but not so much this time. In other scores, you have Belgium defeating Estonia 5-2. Let's see. I have it all right here on my computer. Germany wins a game 2-0. England defeats Hungary 4-0. Italy defeats Italy drew with Bulgaria, and Sweden defeats Spain 2-1. And Argentina in their qualifying game, they defeat Venezuela 3-1, and Brazil defeats Chile 1-0, and that's as far as that. And also onto other news. This is within the ESPN network and just things in general. The Jump, the show that was hosted, the NBA show that was hosted by Rachel Nichols, it was originally supposed to be canceled. But they brought it back. And it's looking like Richard Jefferson is going to be the host of it, which is what I thought they were going to do originally. I didn't necessarily think that they would go down the route of canceling it, but yeah, they did the right decision. They made Richard Jefferson the host. Very good decision with Rachel Nichols. Them giving her the boot pretty much after the whole controversy with Maria Taylor. So yeah, the Jump is back. I don't know if that's for people that's interested in that show. Personally, the Jump is a favorite of mine. Also, I can't remember exactly what day it was. I believe it was 2-3 days ago. Max Kellerman is officially done with First Take. he had his last day on the show a couple days ago, and it was. I'll be honest, as a person who grew up watching First Take, watching them go from Skip to Max, and then all the memes where it's like everyone turns into Stephen A. and Max Kellerman at the lunch table and talking about sports. It was actually kind of sad to watch, but yeah, you can definitely tell it was something. It was definitely something within that. Um, it was definitely something within that, and it was kind of a bittersweet moment. I'll admit. Max. He's still, from what I heard, Max is still gonna be in the ESPN network, but it was kind of sad to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty sad to watch. Um, as far as everything else, that's about it. We kind of had to wait and see what's gonna happen with with everything else. Oh, sorry about that. Actually, um, we do have some scores from the WNBA games. I didn't think they actually played today, but we do have scores from the WNBA games. The Dallas Wings defeat the Atlanta Dream 72-68. Minnesota Lynx defeat the LA Sparks 66-57. The Las Vegas Aces defeat the Chicago Sky 90-83. And the Seattle Storm defeat the New York Liberty 85-75. Definitely some pretty high scoring games by a lot of people. Um, I will definitely make sure to go more into detail on the next episode of the podcast. I don't know how I completely missed that. You have guys like I'm going into a different topic, but you have things going on within the sports entertainment world. You have CM Punk returning back to wrestling. Personally, I haven't been that interested in wrestling like that this year. I mean, it was I kind of got back into it because of the pandemic and stuff like that. But it was a lot. It was very interesting to see. Very, very, very nostalgic moment when CM Punk returned back like a week or two ago. And yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how that happens over there. And from what I'm hearing, AEW is not done yet. They're signing guys from WWE such as Daniel Bryan. Definitely gonna be interesting to see how that turns out. Um, Besides that, um, that is about it from the sports world. Nothing much else left from there. Um, yeah, that's about it. All I have to say is, if you enjoyed the first installment of the Malik Robinson Show, please make sure to give a make sure to watch the entire thing. Let me know how it is. I plan on doing this in the long run to kind of just um, get into the broadcasting thing type thing like that. Um, but yeah, just if you can, let me know how you like it. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure how to end this off, but if you enjoyed watching, like I said, make sure to let me know how it is. If you enjoyed it, make sure to come back tomorrow. See, tomorrow might end up being a little short of an episode because it's not much actually happening today. I mean, it's something I'm sure it's something I can recap on, but tomorrow not much is happening. But if I can find something, I will make sure to talk about it. Um, like I said, make sure to have a blessed day on this Friday, September 3rd of 2021. Be safe, wear your mask, stay safe. Um, go do something, try to do something today, make the most of it. Drake dropped a new album, so make sure to listen to Certified Lover Boy. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. And I will be looking forward to talking to you all tomorrow or Saturday, depending on how it is. But I really enjoyed making this episode, and I hope to make many more in the future. So thank you all for your time, and have a blessed day.